Alright guys, so this one was by request. Just going to be a basic going over TA. That first. If it doesn't take too long, we'll probably jump in to see if we can find any trades, or we will take a look at the 1 minute charts on scalping. But for now, we're going to go over TA. If you're new, focus on TA first. Get your entry down. Binary options pretty much is going to help you with your entry. And at least learn to be a little bit, how would you say, in control, not in control of your emotions. It'll get you in the right mindset of using correct money management, waiting for a trade, not just trading whatever the hell's on the screen, and following a set of rules. So we're going to start off with the first thing you should do each day when you wake up. I refer to it as pre-trading prep, but is load up your charts, see how they look, and check news. If you want to check news, there's multiple sources. Forex Factory is one. I'll bring it over here so you can see. If you type in Forex Factory by default, it is going to come to the news page. You need to be aware of what news looks like. So today, news isn't too bad. 7:30, we just have news. Let's look at tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a brutal freaking day. You probably won't see me trading bins much. And for Forex scalping, I might a little bit, but I know that I'm going to be in and out in between these news releases. So you need to be aware of news and what's going on for the day. If you're just trading away the day and you're jumping in, you take a trade right before news and you're like, oh, what the fuck happened? Well, duh, you had all this shit going on. Like, tomorrow would be a good example. You need to be aware of what's going on for the day. You can use Forex Factory. If you don't like that one, you can use, let's see, You'll see slightly different rankings on these. Some of them are red, some are orange, some are yellow. That's the ranking. Red's a high impact, orange is a medium, yellow is a hiccup. Ugh. Yellow is a low impact. And then there's speeches also. Let's see. So we can go to where the hell is it? Market. God damn, man. I usually have it bookmarked. Oh well. Home and economic calendar. Screw me. This one's a little bit different. It looks like a Klinger look. They have an Android app for it. I don't know if they have an iPhone app. Didn't actually pay attention. But here's today. You can see it's a bunch of lows with 2 highs. And if we get down here, tells us in 1 hour and 10 minutes. That's the only reason I like this one, is because 1 hour and 10 minutes. Now, be aware if you have this open, when what's it say? Oh, when the news pops, you're going to start getting a bunch of little beeps on your screen. So don't freak out if you don't know where the beeps are coming from, because as news comes in, it pops up the results down here, which I like a little bit more than this, because I have to hit the little refresh button that will appear. If you don't know what it is, retail, you click on it, and it gives you a brief description. Okay, so what have we covered so far? First thing you want to do is be aware of what's going to go on in the market that day. What's one of the things that everyone should be aware of for a little bit right here is Brexit. It'll be over June 23rd, so whoop-de-doo. But that's just basically Britain might exit the euro. So, blah, just be aware of it. That's why I'm not trading. Mainly because liquidity on my brokers flip-floppy as hell. Alright, so we covered news. Next thing now, we know it, so yay, we have an idea what's going on for the day. Do we jump in and start trading? No. The next thing we want to do, and this is for Forex too, guys. I don't just jump in every morning on Forex. The first thing I do is open up, and the one thing I do like about Forex Factory is the little current news events that pop up. But you need to be aware of what's going on for the day. If you don't, like I said, you're going to get your ass handed to you. If you open up a trade 5 minutes before news and you have a huge trend going upwards and all of a sudden it drops 50 pips, you're stupid. Why sugarcoat it? You're just stupid. You need to be aware of what's going on while you're trading. Jesus, I'm going to take an early break for a cup of coffee. Okay, so the next thing we want to do then is take a look at the charts. Do the charts look normal? Is there structure? Is there something weird going on? As you trade each day, you'll start to get a feel for the pairs you trade. I trade 4 pairs. I trade the majors. Well, AUD USD is not really a major, but I prefer it. GBP USD, Euro USD, USD. Let me slow down. GBP USD, Euro USD, USD JPY, and AUD USD. If your broker offers it and you want it, you can also do the actual other major, which is the one that I prefer is USD CHF. This one moves a little bit faster, but it's actually kind of a fun pair to trade. It's good for practicing because a lot of times when other pairs are sitting still, this one is moving past the US lunch. So I'll put it on there for today so we have 5 pairs to look at. Okay, so I'm gonna. Does the zoom out too big? I'll wait a minute on here. Is the zoom out too big on this? Are y'all able to see it just fine, or do I need to zoom in one? We're not going to be zoomed out that long, but I just want you to be able to see a little bit more of the chart, so you can see how I mean, I do, and this is what I do for Forex and for binary options. Hold on, let me check it real quick. Sorry, I don't have Skype running on my computer. I have it on my phone, and someone asked a question. I trade bins maybe 2 hours a day, if that. I trade bins when the market's not trending. If it's not trending and it's not too flat, then I will trade bins. If it pops into a nice range, it's just free money. I mean, you be kind of picky when you trade. That's why I'm trying to teach 2 different ways to trade. If it's trending, you don't want to be doing this. You could trade pullbacks, but I mean, why risk it? Okay, so I'm going to zoom out on each one of these so we can get an overall. Zooming in's nice, guys, if you have an idea what the market looks like. Once you have an idea, you can zoom in one. But let's take a look at the overall movement for the last little bit on each one of these pairs. So this is cable. This kind of crap here, no tradey, if you can see what I mean. And this is just what I want to see. Okay, so we had all this here. This for me is a no trade zone. This is moving into it and moved up, so this is looking a little better. Am I on 1 click still? Son of a bitch. Sorry, I'm always can't. There we go. Cancel. This over here looks. It's not perfect, but this is what you're looking for. You're never going to get freaking perfect. Deal with what it gives you, but this looks better. This here, not better. So, good, bad. A lack of structure here. We can see more structure here. We're going to just go pair by pair, and then we're going to come back and actually work into like the pre-trading prep of it all. We have the same type of formation here, guys. When you see this tight-ass shit like this, it's flat and tight. This is consolidation. Orders are building up. The market can't decide which way it's going, etc., etc. No tradey. This downward trend, we wouldn't want to be trading TA on it. Just no. You could trend trade this quite easily. Over here now, we have consolidation, but it's the difference in here where we're building up is this could be a range. If we look, we're getting about 21 pips. That's nice. Anything 15 or over, I can trade. Hell, 12 or over, you could probably trade it. But this is possible range, or we might be turning around and moving upwards now. We don't know yet. Right now, we're just taking a look at charts. I want to get a general feel for the charts so I know which ones I'll be focusing on. This is USD JPY. Already, I can say this is one of the ones that I would be focusing on for the day. We had our little bit of consolidation, but now it's bouncing up and down nice. When I say range, what do I mean? We'll get into that in just a second. There's several different ways you can tell. AUD USD, for me, looks like dog shit. We could watch it, but it looks like dog shit. And USD CHF, no. So we're going to focus on USD JPY today. The rest of them we'd just be kind of keeping an eye on and not really caring about until something develops. Okay, so how do we know trend or range? Well, this is pretty freaking obvious that it's a trend, but how do you identify it? Let's see if we can do it this way. To make it very simple, we'll mark it this way, and then we will. This is in the way a little bit of me seeing what I want to do. So, to make it really simple, a trend is just price moving down. We'll take it one step further. It's lower lows and higher lower. And here I go with this. I get tongue-tied a lot when I say these. It's lower lows and higher or lower highs. It's like a freaking tongue twister for me. Real quick, we'll mark them to see what it looks like on a normal chart, but like, and I know this is really what you're saying. Well, I can see this, stupid. I want you to see this, and then we're going to go to the USD JPY, and we'll take a look at how it's not matching. And we'll go with a little bit of one here. Okay, so what's it look like on normal candles? This isn't perfect because it was a pretty sharp downward trend, but here's a lower low, and then price moves down. It moves up a tiny bit. Yeah, that's true. Gert said that zigzag is. Zigzag's a tool you got built in. If you go to your indicators, and if you're new, zigzag's an excellent tool. Gert's completely correct. We can do the standard 1253. We'll see what it looks like. Let's break that up a little bit so that we can try and get in some. Here, let's just go to a different chart. We'll see if we can get a better look on it. Okay, so here's one. I'm going to throw a zigzag on this one. We're going to do 531, which should break this up a little bit. If you don't know what I mean, I'll explain in a second. 1253 is... These are just settings on the zigzag, basically, of like how it draws them. There we go. So I'm going to go to this, and let's make the zigzag a different color. And I'm going to completely get rid of the line chart also. Thanks, Gert. This actually will make it a lot easier for me to explain. Sometimes I forget about the easy shit. Okay, guys, what am I doing? Right now I'm showing trend. This one's very obvious, but what we're talking about is how to identify it just by looking at it. Sometimes looking at it, you're not going to know. I understand that. And it's when you don't know that you're probably in a range, but typically a good trend is going to have a lower low, and then it's going to move up and create a new high, but the next high is going to be lower. So I'm going to mark our lower lows and our lower highs. And then I'm going to pause when we have the first break of how... Basically, I'm going to show how you can see that the trend's kind of coming to an end. Okay, so here's our first move down. This is a low, what's called a lower low, or a swing low. We'll just go with lower low and lower highs today, and higher highs and higher lows today. I'm going to ignore swing high and swing lows. I don't want to confuse anybody. This is how you can identify your trend. If it's this pattern, here's a lower low, and this is... It's a higher high, but it's a higher low, because price is moving down. This is our higher low. See, here's a higher high, here's a higher low. So we have lower low, lower low, lower low. We get three of them. In between that, we have two higher lows. And I hate saying this over and over. So that's a nice pattern. It's basically, it says you have a nice trend going downwards. If you... Now, when does that break apart? So the next time price moves up, we don't. This would give you no clue that the trend is ending. Why? Because it would just be considered a new higher low. But then this one right here, this little bastard, here is our first indication that something's happening. And why is it our first indication that something is happening? Is it's not a new lower low. Okay, so this goes if you're trend trading. It's your first indication. You might want to be careful. But with trading access, with just general trading, I mean, guys, right now we're just covering simple topics because I saw a lot of the new guys. The reason I'm going over this is I saw a lot of them trading on a trend, and they're like, well, I didn't know. Or I told them, well, you're trading against the trend, and they're like, well, I didn't know. So I'm trying to show the basics of how to identify the trend. As long as you see the same pattern forming, you get a lower low, then a lower high, then a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. We're in a good trend, and we're in a downwards trend. This right here is our first sign that we need to be careful, that the trend might be ending. Does that make we'll get into a little more. We'll look at a couple other charts. But does that pretty much make sense to everyone? Does everyone understand we're in a downwards trend? This was a good trend down, and this was our warning. All we're doing right now is we don't care about anything else except we're identifying which way the trend is and if it's a nice trend or whether it's a mess. If it's a mess, there's other things we can do. Like, UJ is going to be a messy one, so we're going to take a look at that, and that'll be a little bit more fun. But does everyone understand trend now? Or at least get the concept of how you can see it. Now, if we put the candles on there, there's our candles. And again, I used zigzag. It's built into your tools. I would go, if you're on the 5-minute chart, I would probably go 5-3-1 for your settings. 12-5-3 just might, here, I'll show you what happens with 12-5-3. And why I don't find it that helpful on the smaller time frames. So I'm going to make it, I don't know, it's white. Let's go pink, and we'll make it really, really fat. So 5-3-1 for settings. Okay, so you see how 12-5-3 doesn't really tell you anything about this little movement downwards. So those are your differences. 5-3-1 is a good setting for the 5-minute chart. You can do 5-3-3. It's just your preferences. I'll show you the difference there too. Some people prefer 5-3-3. It doesn't change it that much, as you can see. It really just affected this little swing here. Yay, Gert got it. Like, I have to guess. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to leave this on the screen because I drank all my coffee. You can probably tell because I am babbling like an idiot. I'm going to take like a 5-minute quick little break, get me some more coffee. If you have questions, type them in. Gert is freaking... Gert's a very good trader, guys. If you're new to the group, Gert is a really fucking good trader, actually. So... I wouldn't say feel free to ask him, but he offers up good information, so pay attention whenever Gert offers up something. I try and break things down very simple, but sometimes I screw it up. Gert has a way of explaining things that just make sense real easy. I wish I could explain things like him sometimes. Okay, so where the hell's pause? Okay. Okay, I forgot to turn recording back on. Basically, guys, what I had everyone do is we're doing a quick little exercise on Euro USD. I'm going to have to review it real quick. Just bring up a blank chart, and if you're watching the recording, guys, gals, you can go ahead and do this on any pair you want. Bring up a pair, then I want you to go to Navigator, go to Zigzag, put in inputs, go to 5, no wonder I have 12-5-3 on there, 5-3-1 in there, hit OK. Cool, I think we got one. Yay. It's cool, William. Okay, so I'll take a look at that in a second, TJ. What I want you to do then is mark your trades. Blue box, if for drawing tools, you just click on the rectangle up top. That's a blue box. To change it, you'd click on the corner and it'll bring it up. If not, you can right click on it and go to the properties of it when you have it selected. But if you double click the... What am I doing? Double click it to select it, and then right click it and go to rectangle properties, and you can be able to change the color. I want you to mark your, until the pattern's broken, I want you to mark a lower low, higher low, all the way down until the pattern is broken. And this can be on any pair if you're watching the recording. For right now, for you guys, use Euro USD. Let me take a look at the one we did get so far. TJ, let's see, lower highs, lower lows. Actually, yeah, looks pretty good. So TJ, you pass. Yay. What I'm trying to do here, if you, for the recording people, because I was babbling quite a bit without the recording, is we're just basically identifying a trend down. And when that trend comes to an end, I guess you could say, or a warning that it might be coming to an end. TJ's just looked fine. On this one, I'll go ahead and mark it. So, let's see. And I'm just going to do it, even though these aren't great, but lower, higher. These are ugly, but just for concept-wise, lower, higher, low. This high is lower than this high is lower than this high. Price comes down. Now, I would probably consider this area here just consolidation, but I would want to pay attention to it because it'll come into play later as a support and resist. But we could possibly say this is a new lower low, and this was a higher low. And let's keep it simple. We'll go down here, higher low. The last one is the break of our trend. Wait, dude. Higher high. We do not get a new lower low here. So, let's mark it. And I don't want to get too complicated today. This is just today's. Tomorrow, if y'all like these little exercises, like I said, we'll do them again. Last time I did them, I got pretty good feedback. So, if you're looking at it or you did it, you should come up with something similar to this. Again, everyone sees the charts slightly different, so it doesn't have to perfectly match mine. This area here, why did I mark it? It's going to come into play as a support and resistance, because it was a little bit of consolidation. We're going to move on to UJ next after this, but this is for today what we want to be able to identify. Here's our trend down. Now, why is this important? Because if you can identify the end of a trend, then hopefully you know when to start watching. Because right now, like I said, if you're using TA on this, and I know some people came in late. Right now, what I'm showing is strictly by the book of how TA runs. If it gets to the point where you all are seeing trades that break rules, please send me the chart, mark it, and we'll go over it. Because most likely it is a good trade. That just means that you're learning and you're progressing past the basic rules for trading Axis. If you're not and you're stuck, then I would say if you've been trading it for like a month and you're not seeing anything past trades that are just perfectly lined up by the rules, then get with me. We're probably missing something there too. But it's important here because we can see a trend. Here's the trend, and here it came to an end. So what's the next thing we do? Either it's going to start a range, it's going to flatline like this as orders build up, and we can't do anything with this. So this is really not too much to be done with this. You can't scalp off this because it's only... Well, it's 13 pips, but it's a little bit too small. Let's just say that when you see things like this, it's a little bit too small. It would be considered consolidation. A range would be a little bit bigger, and it's moving up and down. But now we know to start watching Euro, because Euro is no longer in a downwards trend. It's going to do something, but we don't know what it's going to do, so we know to start watching it. We know we shouldn't have been trading here, but now we know we can start watching it. Does everyone understand what I'm trying to teach today? If you're in a trend, we need to be okay, so if you're in a trend, you can't really trade it with Trading Axis. You can trend trade it great. If you're trend trading it, how do you know when to stop and wait? And how do you know when to switch into Trading Axis to start playing with the trade or to look for a trade? This yellow box right here tells us to stop and wait and see what the hell's going on. Putting it simply. So this chart may turn into a viable range that we can use Trading Axis on, or it may start going upwards. If it starts going upwards, what do we see here? So here's yellow. Here's a low, and here's a higher high. Here's a lower high. Now, if price closed up here, we'd have a new higher high, which would indicate the beginning of maybe a trend going upwards. But what do we have here? doesn't look like it. It looks like we got a lower high, which does what? It breaks the pattern. So we still don't know what's going on here, other than we might have a range developing. Price might just be consolidating while orders build up. But it's something as simple as this. It's going to give you a little bit of a clue what's going on with the chart. I know we have 2 new people in here, so for the 2 new people, or even for the old people, is there any question on what I'm trying to show you here today? You can Skype answer me or type it in the room. It doesn't matter to me, as long as we get a little feedback, so we know that you're I guess, understanding what I'm trying to push across today. I'm keeping it simple. Gert pointed out very well that when we were looking at it, it's called a double bottom or double tops. We can get into that later. Today, I just want you to be able to identify when not to trade it, when to start looking to trade it, and when to trade. So there's sit and wait time, and there's trade time. And you should be able to... Cool, no questions from Bryant. Is it TJ or is it Bryant? I have a friend whose name's Bryant. What do you prefer? TJ or... Yeah. And again, if you missed it, Gert's been doing this for quite a while, and he's very good. So if he says something, I'd highly recommend paying attention to it. Brian is your last name, so I guess call TJ. Okay, cool. It was just a little confusing because my friend of mine's name's Bryant. It's weird because I'm Brian, he's Bryant. Who's the other new one we have in here? William, are you okay with this, or do I need to go over it again? Are we good? You can Skype me, like I said, if you don't want to answer in this chat. Whatever you want. For TA, everything's on the 5-minute chart. Now, you can bump up to the 15-minute, but the amount of opportunities you have is going to slow down quite a bit. 5-minute chart, and you want to do a 5 to 6 minute trade. You want to try and get in towards the end of the candle, as, for instance... Okay, so let's talk a little bit about entry, since we do have it. Even though this looks like it worked out, and this is by no means a trade or anything, I'm just going to use the structure of the candle to point it out. Actually, let me find something from yesterday, see if it's on here. Okay, that one will be perfect. Give me 1 second. Auto scroll off. Let me zoom in. This is just to make a point. It is nowhere in means that it's a trade. I'm just trying to show entry. Okay, so for entry, we have quite a few of them here. This is yesterday. Oh, god damn mosquito. Okay, so 5-minute chart, 5 to 6 minute, depending on your broker. Some brokers, when you hit trade, they automatically start a 5-minute countdown. Some brokers, like Markets World, when you hit trade, it takes into account the end of this candle, and you have to be in... Basically, here's a 5-minute candle. It's ticking down. 30 seconds left. You have to be able to get into this candle before the end of the countdown. And then it starts 5 minutes. The close of this candle ends the trade, but it's plus whatever time's left on this one. In Morning Overview, do you use a different time frame? No. In Morning Overview, I just... 5 minutes. I will take a look at higher time frames to get a general feeling for the market, but today we're trying to keep it simple. For pre-trade prep, yes, I will bump around time frames a little bit, because let's say we're looking at... Well, let me explain the entry portion. So 5 minutes, why do we wait until the end of the candle? Because here's this candle right here. We're going to be looking at this ugly little bastard. Right here. And give me a second, I'll change the color so we can see it a little better. Let's go with... Let's try white. Maybe that'll make it stand out. Okay, so here it is. So here's our candle. Now let's just say we're gonna play pretend here for a minute. Here's our candle, and you're looking at it and you say, "Oh hell yeah!" And price is right here. Let me get rid of the white box. It's just annoying me. Okay, so price is right here when you enter, and it drops all the way down to here. Or, I'm sorry, let's do it the opposite. There's 30... let's just do it this way. So, let's say there's a minute left, you get in, price is right here. And it drops all the way down to here. And let's, for instance, you were looking to take a sell. It would work out fine for you because it dropped. A lot of times, though, what'll happen is people at about a minute out, they'll get into the candle. Oops. And price will be, for instance, let me see if I can find one. Like, price will be here. And they didn't wait till the end of the candle. So they get an entry here. I'm trying to decide. Let me find a different candle to explain this. I'm not explaining it very well. Let me see if I can find one. It'll be 1 second. Okay, this is a good one because this is a mistake I see a lot of people make. Okay, so here's a candle. We didn't wait for the final close on it. But at, I don't know, let's say 1 minute in, price was right here, and it had just hit the Bollinger Band, so you're like, I'm not going to wait. It's at a good spot. I'm going to take my entry. So I'm going to put the entry right here. Let me do it on the other side. So you take entry right about here. And let's see if I can... Ugh, that's good enough. Screw it. So you take price here because you didn't wait to the end of the candle. So you took it at, I don't know, 2 minutes. It hit the Bollinger Bands. You were overbought, oversold, and you had a bunch of confluence. But you didn't wait to the end of the candle. You're sitting here, price holds here for a while, jumps up, and you're like, oh shit, now I've got a crap entry. But even then, price comes down to here. What I see a lot of people do is jump the gun on their entry. Wait till the end of the candle because then the whole story is told on the candles. What I want y'all to do is watch on the 5-minute candles. A lot of times what you'll see is the first 2.5 minutes, it just kind of moves around. The last 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes, then you'll see the actual direction of the candle. Not all the time, but I'd say a good rule of thumb is just watch it for a while. You'll see what I'm talking about. So what happens here? Because you jumped the gun on entry, here's your price. And it did drop. You were right. You got the direction right. But because you got a crap entry right here, just because price dropped, you didn't get an ITM. Now, if you simply would have waited for the candle to close, or as close to possible to the end of it, that's your ITM. So entry, and I say entry is difficult. Entry is what I see a lot of people struggle with because the first thing they do is they get excited when they first start trading. They get a valid setup, everything looks great, and they're like, oh, I want to get in now, blam. And then price, for instance, they get entry here, and maybe the price candle closes up here. And all of a sudden that great entry you thought you had now looks like dog shit, to put it nice. Now, you still, even though if you jumped the gun, got in here, this would have been an okay trade. But let's say you jumped the gun, like I said, and you got in down here. All of a sudden, you're in a losing trade. And then what do I see happen is I see people jump in with another trade. So now all of a sudden, instead of having one trade that was ITM, they get in another trade, and then they try and martingale it. And they go from having nice money management, should have been in a winning trade, to being in a shit trade with a shit entry, and then they're double entering on it to try and save their ass, which, again, no martingale. We don't want to do that crap. If you take a bad entry, I suggest you just stay the hell out. Take your loss and learn from it. Especially if you jumped in at, like, with 4 minutes left on the candle. So So sorry, that was one of the ones I got from Skype. That we had a question on entry, so I wanted to cover it. I try and if you have a question, guys, just because I'm covering one topic, don't be afraid to ask. Like if you're going through and doing something, and you have questions on a trade or you have a chart, like if you're taking trades, make sure and just bring it up. I mean, I do the webinar so that I can deal with y'all on a one-to-one type. Well, not one-to-one, but so I can help y'all out. So if I'm going over one subject and you have something on a totally different subject, just send me a Skype and I'll get to it. I'm trying to think, where did I leave off before that? Okay, here's AUD USD. This was the last thing we drew on it. We'll go back to this one real quick. So this was our break of the pattern, and now what's price doing? The zigzag hasn't formed a new one, but it looks like it's going to form a new higher high. So, are we going upwards yet? We don't know yet. Alright. Any questions over anything so far? I'll look through the charts real quick. Yeah, if you're not using Markets World, entry is completely different. Entry, and Gert might agree with me here, I think entry is probably identifying a good trade isn't that bad. Entry is probably in my opinion, entry is the hardest thing you have to deal with. Let's see. While we're sitting and waiting, I don't know on what. Okay, let me wrap up the recording because I got everything in the recording that I wanted. I wanted to cover the trend a little bit so that you can identify trend and know when to start watching the chart. So, for instance, on Euro, we're sitting and watching because we already identified that the downwards trend has ended, and it's a sit and wait type game now to see what it's going to decide to do. Like Gert mentioned, we're hitting U.S. Open soon, so that's going to affect the markets a little bit too. So that wraps it up, guys. If you do watch the video, pick a chart, again, make it blank, throw a zigzag on it with Navigator, put 531 in it, and do the little exercise, then send me your charts. So for anyone that wasn't in the live chat, do the exercise, send it to me. If you're new, old, doesn't matter. But that's going to wrap up today with the trend. I'm going to stop the recording, then we'll chat in live chat for a bit. So thanks for watching. Video records.